All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am in the fantastic position of wanting a Phineas Former longer, the longer form video. I have to set my watch and also this is going to be like a very buggy experience. My tracking is all over the place, so if it's too buggy, you will not see this video. If it's like only buggy enough, you will see this video, and I assure you, if you do see this video, hoo boy, we've got some good plans ahead for us today. Even if I'm getting a later start that I had anticipated, and that I even am starting. So that was also not anticipated. But what excites me today, at least, is I caught myself cleaning my room this morning because I had almost an entire week off in name of my birthday, and just didn't clean my room like even a little bit, and I wanted to, but then I just kept not, which is, a human thing to do, not a big deal. And so when I was cleaning my room before work today, I thought to myself, I am in the mood to listen to a Phineas Former longer, the longer form, because I was on the bicycle recently. A few days ago, I am often on the bicycle, but I didn't like, I'm tired of all the music that I listen to because I always listen to the same music that I've always listened to. And it doesn't matter if it's the Spotify DJ or if it's one of my playlists or the daily mixes. Like, I'm just tired of all of it because that's just what I listen to all of the time. I wanted to listen to a podcast, but I don't know what podcasts, and I'm not like a podcasty guy typically. And I was just kind of and I was going to, whenever I'm on the bike, usually I just like I'm going to a coffee shop or a bar to do work or programming of some sort, and just living, living my best my best life. And part of that is, I mean, a lot of that lately is making these videos. And I thought, well, okay, well, I'm on the bicycle, I'll study, you know, more or less. Study, no, study. That's right. I couldn't watch my video because I was on the bicycle, but I could listen to it, and the experience was fantastic. It was a beautiful little, like, oh, who is this strange man giving me tokens of wisdom? I'm excited to be on my bicycle with tokens of wisdom. How fantastic, right? And the only qualm, the only challenge really, is when I was referencing in this, the experience, the audio experience on my bicycle, to when I say like hands, it works fine enough. Um, I'll get upset a lot at the camera, and I know what's happening because I was there when I filmed it, but I'll just like get a little agitated in the middle of the video and not know why. And then I'll call it a video often, but I don't know that it's a video because I was on the bicycle. And I have a feeling that that's kind of vibe is going to be happening more frequently. So I think for Phineas Former longer, the longer form, I kind of think these videos are going to become experiences. I think that's the new word. I think that's the terminology. I believe that these are to be experiences. I, I, I can't speak to the quality of experience or the type of experience, but this is an experience, be it a visual or an auditory one. Oof, and how fantastic of an experience it is. So, I experienced challenge today because I want, like, there's something I decidedly have to say. There's so many things I have to say. And the other channel is typically where I like to put the things that I have to say. But I haven't formulated out yet the things that I want to say, but I have to say them. So I kind of think I'm going to do that thing I do sometimes, all of the time, which is say here to kind of map out my thoughts so I know more about what I'm going to be saying later. Like I want to, collect my thoughts and then I can present them. And so I present to you now my uncollected thoughts, but they're more collected than I think. And we're going to explore that now in this episode of Phineas Former Longer, the longer form. What an experience for us today. So, I am pleased to announce that my time back to YouTube is imminent. Part of me wanted to wait somewhat arbitrarily. In theory, I'm going to be having my new model um, soon because the guy was like, "Oh, ideally, and I aim to have it out in a few weeks," and it's been like a few weeks. But we'll just let it simmer, be a patient little boy. It's gonna be okay. And so I want like my big return to, especially the other channel, to be like, flashy, here you go, a big, a delight. but I don't feel like putting my life on hold long enough to get that model. If I want to get videos, if I want to return to YouTube, if I like, if I'm ready to go, then I would like to go rather than, well, I want to go, but these things are holding me back and I want the new model. And it's like, no, fuck it. If you want to go, go, and the rest of the circumstance will resolve itself as, you know, time goes on. Totally not a big deal. Okay, recording is good. Just had to check because I'm a paranoid boy. So, yes, I don't want to put my life on hold as far as making videos go, whether I have the model that I want or not. And my play space is actually, I accidentally messed it up a little bit because I have a podium now. It's a dresser, but it's shaped enough like a podium. I'll tell you guys about the podium another time, but we're very excited. But I'll be changing rooms, so I'm going to have a bigger play space. So I'm going to have room for the podium, but my play space is actually accidentally smaller because the podium is here, and I have tremendous plans for the podium. At least I did before yesterday occurred. Yesterday was, ooh, ooh. Let's see. So I can't actually talk about that because I took a life inventory, and that is absolutely something that's for the other channel. And that's part of collecting my thoughts, but taking away the life inventory thing, more on that another time, or at least maybe later this video, I don't know. But what I came to is a broader sense of putting my life on hold. Like I just described with, oh, I don't know if I want to do that with my model or not. I'll make videos when the time is more correct. I landed on something far more vast with more grand implications than just wanting a shiny new model so I can be the most handsomest smile boy in all of the land. Ah, we're so excited for it. But I realized I had gone to the bar yesterday to do programming because I like it enough and I like solving problems, and I have this decided goal which has been eating me alive for 2.5 years now, maybe coming on 3, of building this interactive fiction engine like I've referenced many, many times. I recognized that something just wasn't quite clicking. I was making fantastic progress on it, reached like a great stopping point, so I knew where to go, but I didn't have the juice in me to start another section of the program and then tidy it up. And so if I start a section and then don't finish it, then picking up that piece is way more challenging. So I still had Go juice, but I did not have, I don't have enough to program. So I just sat down and started like writing out a couple thoughts because programming has been, if not unsatisfying, certainly not actively satisfying. I was going to kind of like ask myself a couple of questions. In particular, the thought experiment I was running by myself last night was, it looks like I have several distinct hobbies that I do distinct things. Programming would be one of them. Video editing would be one of them, and now streaming would be another one. And those are like the things that I do, right? And so here I'm getting into the life inventory thing. I'm just not like calling it what it is, but anyway, fuck it. I do these distinct things, right? So it looks like I have 3, possibly 4 if I include writing, but we'll get there. So we'll say 3 distinct hobbies, which seem pretty removed, although like streaming and YouTube kind of together, although actually they are so far removed. Oof. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking good. We'll get there, Phineas. All things in good time. And to the wonderful enthusiasts of Phineas Former, oh, we'll get there too. We'll get there. Don't worry, I'm bringing you along with me to this journey. Because I had this suspicion that it might not be 3 distinct hobbies. Rather, I feel like maybe I have one hobby and it takes different forms. And there's different aspects to this hobby, as though if I was a woodworker, you don't have, oh, my hobby is sometimes I like polishing wood, but then other times I like carving wood. And it's like, no, the whole thing is building furniture or whatever, right? And every hobby has, pieces to it, obviously. The only issue is I don't have the name for what my hobby is, what the pieces I do build up to. Maybe it doesn't exist, maybe it does exist and I just don't have the words for it. But I feel like in all of my distinct common, like the pillars of actions that I take, making videos, working on YouTube, programming slash writing, we'll get there, and streaming are elements of the hobby I do. I just don't know what that hobby is. They all fall under one umbrella. I'm highly certain, I'm confident they fall under one umbrella. I think I might have figured out what that umbrella is, by the way. We'll get there. And I was mapping this out, this idea of mine. If programming's been unsatisfying and I don't consider it to be one of my hobbies, but I do it frequently enough, it is certainly a hobby. And that disparity where I program frequently enough, but it fails to satisfy, and I sat through and I just like dialed on for a second, like, hey, what's going on here? Why I program so much and it fails to satisfy. Programming is not serving, and I made great progress today, or that was yesterday. So yesterday I was saying to myself that I made great progress. You know how stories work. So do I. And that's part of the problem is I haven't been telling stories. Oh, I skipped ahead. Only by like a few sentences though. It's not a big deal. It's where I was headed. Cuz programming was at first a lie I told to the people in my life, so it sounded like I knew what I was doing when I said I'm going to learn programming to switch careers and get into a field that has like advancement opportunities and you can make more money, and that sounded really good, and then that it appeased the people in my life who wanted to see me succeed in their own, I don't think that they were malicious by anyway. Very quickly, programming turned into building this interactive fiction engine, which has been driving me for 2.5 to 3 years now. And I recognized yesterday, 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 last night, a little over 12 hours ago it was. 12 hours, so it would have been probably like, this is a 15 to 16 hour fresh idea. Just for you, hot off the press. I sat through and I'm like, hey, hang on, programming is not serving. YouTube has been serving. And I'm really drawn to writing, so there's like this just kind of a disconnect. And if I program, but it doesn't fulfill me, but these other things I have been doing are like, okay, what's going on? Something is clearly going on. Sit down, I just start writing. And old school, new school, old school, because I have one of the fancy pants Galaxy Fold, a Fold 5. Fancy pants. I'm a fancy pants man. My fancy leg. I referenced a video, a visual of my blue leg, and if this is an audio experience, I ruined it. I'll get the hang of it. Blue leg experience. I'll describe it to you in vicious audio deep. Oh, screenshot or whatever. I will reference it in dramatic audio detail another time. My skills in communication are not yet strong enough to do my blue leg justice in an audio sort of format. Regardless, we press on. Oh, good lord, we press on. What a story. And honestly, we're running out of time for this episode because I have to go to work before long. So we got to get to the point here, Phineas Former. But a leisurely stroll towards the point. You can't rush these things. You can't rush a Phineas Former longer, the longer form. It's the other channel that you rush. You rush the heck out of that channel. This channel? Nah, man. We're going to talk about life at our own leisurely pace. And we're going to pace. The thing is, programming only ever was meant as a vehicle for writing. because writing stories as I had been doing no longer served. I had written and published a novel, and I had experience writing long story series that were reasonably popular, and I never had more than like 100 followers on my secondary account that became my primary account. So not well known, but people typically, and there was a decent amount of people for a little bit who would favorite one story and then 20 minutes later favorite the next one and then favorite the next one. And I kept getting email notifications, and I'm like, yes, another one in the bank, another believer of the words of, at the time it was Skip Lyons, but like another, what do you know? We got one of them, which always feels super good. And I loved it. I loved writing, but after I had written a book, and I'd written a few before for National Novel Writing Month. The idea of that is to write a 50,000 word novel in the month of November. And it was kind of one of the originators, if not the originator, of like Inktober and Drawtober, or like National Novel Writing Month. NaNoWriMo was one of the very original. This is 1 month, and so you're doing this. You have to write 1,667 words per day on average to pull it off. And I had done that several times. And so just using that skill of we're going to sit down, we're going to write a story, we're going to get it out, and write a book was fantastic. And it accidentally kind of served as a capstone. It was an atrocious novel. It is hot garbage, but it's a beautiful mess. Oh my goodness gracious. For being a hot pile of trash, there's some good discards in there. There's some good scraps, just some really. It's messy and it's so beautiful for it, and I love it, and I always will, and the experience I will treasure, even if it was hellacious. It was great. And that was enough to, all right, then we can just put down writing, because I, that is a clear, a distinct, I can do this well enough to be able to do this, and I can pull out at any point in my life. Yeah, sure, I'll write another book. I've done that before, not a big deal. You want a short story? Hey, here we go. I've written enough. So I probably need practice writing stories which are not pornographic, but I've also written plenty of those, and I love that so much. I just love writing, and I miss it. And the reason it went on hold, though, is because for as much as I love writing, writing had stopped serving, no longer served, because I had gotten what I needed out of it. And if I continued writing, sure, I'm going to be still honing that skill and getting better, and you love getting better at whatever it is that you're doing. But that's not something that I needed anymore, because I was confident in my ability to have something I want to say, write it out, what my writing styles really are, and it was the point of like, if I was better at it, it could have been a moment where I would retire ostensibly. Just a very scaled down version. Like, I am still a crap author, but I know enough to know that I can author when I want to. And I'm satisfied with that level of growth. So I wanted to move on and grow in different ways. Here's where the programming comes in. I wanted to build an interactive fiction engine specifically so I could continue to write stories in new and advanced ways, because I had written books. I didn't need to write any more books. We're good? Okay. 11 minutes? Oh, gosh, dang it. Anyway, I had written a book. That's fine. I can write more books. I can write little essays. Like, I know how to write. I don't know how to write interactive fiction because it doesn't exist in the way that I theorize it to exist. So I learned programming to build an interactive fiction engine so I could continue to write stories in more advanced and unique ways, because writing is something that I love doing, and I had gone as far as I needed to be confident in all of the skills that are available to me, more or less. That's not meant to be, you know, an egotistical statement. That's just, I was very confident and satisfied with where my skills of writing were, and I didn't feel the need to grow any further in the direction that was available to me. I was satisfied. But I wanted still to write. So, anyway, you're going in circles. Phineas, come on, buddy. Skip ahead. And it's not even skipping ahead, it's just assume that the kind people, and I'm one of the kind people who, is on the other side of this video experience. My apologies. Assume that we are all intelligent and move on. I started a program to eventually be able to resume writing. This is what was driving me for over 2 years now. Learn programming specifically to develop an engine which is reasonably complex, to tell stories which are reasonably complex, because I want to learn how to write better. Writing is a stand-in for communication. A primary driver, perhaps the primary driver in my life, has been a firm belief that there's a perfect string of words available to be spoken at any time, like at the correct time, in the correct cadence, to get out of my heart, through my filter, through the noise between myself and an audience, through their filter, and into their heart. If you put words together the right way, you can translate a message from one heart into another person. That's magic. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. I've done it. Other people have done it. Communication is a thing. And I've just been really curious what the upper bounds of it is. If you get better at communicating, what kind of ideas are you able to share and collaborate on when you get disparate people together under one idea? And if you get really good at communications, you can do it faster, and then can you start linking other people? Like, it's electric. That's what drives me. Always has. Writing is a style of communication. My heart goes onto a story, people can receive the story, and there you go. I don't know how well it's going to go out of my heart and into theirs. And then I don't know how intact the message is going to be, but every story that I've ever written has been an exercise in communication. When I want to write a story, say the most popular story series I ever wrote was Howler Diaries. And the whole thing there is I was a very unhappy lad. Very unhappy lad. So much going on. Too much going on in life. And I was in a relationship, but I had never felt more alone, borderline, just doing poorly. And things weren't working out for me, is how I felt. And it was true. But in writing these stories, it was Silver and Thrad were the two main characters. Silver was the main character, and the rule for me, anytime I wrote one of these Howler Diary stories, is that things work out. Things go well for Silver. Things were not going well for me. And the way that I kind of coped with that and dealt with my thoughts was to write a story where the main character, things go well. Every time, things go well for... Sorry, I got distracted. I know this is an experience. My eye tracking I just had to check on. Anyway, sorry. No matter what happens in the story, things go well for Silver. That was something that I knew. That was the rule I had set for myself. That's how these stories went. That was Howler Diaries. Things turn out okay. So when there's turbulent relationships or things go wrong, they patch it out, and no matter how bad a situation was, or no matter what kind of argument or fight these characters had gotten into, things were going to work out. That was the rule I had made for my story series, Howler Diary. And I got a tremendous amount of joy and knowledge and kind of peace from that, because I was telling, the story came through me. I just had the rules for how it was going to work. And when I was feeling like things were not going well for me, I could sit down and over the course of 5 hours or so, write a story where things went well. And because the story came from me, I felt like things were well. During the time I spent with Silver and Thrad when I was writing those stories, things worked out. Things were okay. I knew that because I wrote that. And if I'm in the middle of writing a story and Silver feels okay, I feel okay. That was a saving grace for me. And about 2.5 years ago, I found myself in a position where writing no longer served. Not only because I had written a novel and I considered that to be good enough, and I stopped writing because of everything I just described in the first part of the video, but also because I wasn't in a position where writing was working for me. I think I know what's going on with the eyes. The headset is slowly creeping out of position, so I need to just kind of like reset how that is going for my own benefit, even if not for the benefit of anyone else. And there we go. Nice and a little bit more fresh, I think. Maybe? It's okay. Time is short, Phineas Former. You must move on. The kind people are waiting with bated breath for you to move on. This one has to be a series of some sort. It's going to have to be. I mean, it can't be right now. I have to get ready for work before long. Dang it. Dang it. I'm not even close. I am not even close right now. I'm barely explaining why I left writing this so I can explain how I'm coming back to writing, how I figured out that coding no longer serves. Oh, gosh. There's no way to tidy up any of these thoughts, so we're just going to keep on powering through. We got another 4 minutes in this video. I don't even think I can get it to a reasonable stopping point. Goodness. So much to say. Are you kidding me right now? Okay, so let's pretend this is a Phineas Former video, a normal one, where I'm short on time and I just have to get the thoughts out, and it's a rapid pace, so here we go. Gotta hit it. Also, they, virtual desktop, or no, VR chat fixed up their finger tracking. I can snap now. Are you kidding me right now? I'm a snap boy. What? All of the furries want to be me. I can snap so fucking good. What? Oh, God, I'm so handsome. He said to himself, not telling the story that he said he has to finish really quickly. Okay. I was at a point in life about 2.5 years ago where just not even writing stories under the rule set that things work out for the main character could help me. And I needed to do something different. Writing stories alone, the heart was not there. The heart has returned. And the mechanism I was looking forward to, developing an interactive fiction engine to learn how to tell stories in a unique and more complex way to further my skills as a communicator, not necessary anymore. Because as it turns out, the spoken word is also a form of communication. Who boy, who the fuck could have figured that one out? That's what I'm doing right now. Further developing my skills as a communicator by taking my communication to a audio, visual, video, like experiential place, telling stories using speech, for crying out loud. Developing my skills as a communicator, which is all I've ever been trying to do with writing, is communicate. And learn how to get my thoughts out of my heart, because that's where my thoughts mostly originate, through my filter, the noise between myself and an audience, their filter, into their heart. I wrote stories to try and do that because a story is a permanent record available for anyone to see and find if they want to. Maybe it'll help someone out, maybe not, I don't know. But I have too many thoughts and too many emotions, and I put those into writing. That's why I wrote stories. And it was all an exercise in communicating, as though to say, if I can communicate myself better, maybe I'll feel less alone in this world, because maybe someone else will be able to receive me in a way that a static story maybe could, and I don't know how to do that in real life. A video on YouTube is exactly the same function. My words, my stories, there. A permanent record for someone to find, or maybe not, or just for me to recall, of a man communicating his heart out. And now it's a thing. The heart exists somewhere other than me. That's all I ever was doing with writing stories, and I fucking loved it because I was also developing my skills as a communicator. YouTube fills the slot that interactive storytelling was once going to. I am at present advancing my skills as a communicator, albeit in a way I didn't expect it to. This means because programming was always only, ultimately, in service of formulating a more advanced way to study my abilities as a communicator, I am advancing those abilities now through YouTube instead. I no longer need programming to develop an interactive fiction engine to advance my skills as a communicator. Not right now. Which means I can write stories for other purposes than advancing my skills as a communicator. That's what YouTube is doing. Stories with sufficiently applied heart, which has now returned to me 2.5 years ago. My heart has returned to me. And during the periods of heart, I was able to tell stories and write as a way of expressing myself. And they were all very sexy stories because I was sexually frustrated and needed an outlet. 2.5 years ago, it wasn't even worth trying. But the heart's back, and wouldn't you know it, I'm an adult human male and sexually frustrated. It's just, how the world be sometimes. Turns out that the apps are not always great ways or consistent ways to meet guys, and silicone sculptures can only do so much. You gotta be honest with your YouTube audience every now and then. And I think I might be going back to my roots on that, of dealing with the lacking parts of my life. Right now, a lot of that is sexual frustration and like wanting a boyfriend or someone to like hear my thoughts and my words. And that's hard to cultivate in the real world because you can't determine whenever you're going to meet someone you get along with. And for me, that's exceptionally challenging. And I'm a little bit tired of feeling just alone. So if I write stories again where people aren't alone, then during the course of such a story, I am no longer alone. That's what writing always was, part of it during as much of time as I've been an author. And that was my original hobby, my original form of communication, the original thing that grasped me, held me in its grasp. I love writing. Writing is a way for me to process my words and emotions in a unique way and to feel through, like the book that I wrote and the published novel of mine turned into a metaphor for the broken relationship I have with my inner child. And that set me on a path which eventually helps me give form to my inner child by way of virtual cat. I wrote a book which kind of helped me process something, to realize a gap that I had in my life, in my psyche, and what it's like to develop that voice within me, and what would life look like if you did not have a broken relationship with your inner child. I'm repairing that now. Borderline it's repaired, because YouTube videos no longer frighten me. They just excite me. I just want to tell more stories and be more available and honest with myself and or an audience, and just express who I feel like I am on the inside, because I've spent a very long time not doing that. Wrote a book to try and figure out why, but that's not even what I thought I was doing. That's just kind of what happened when I told a story. I want to get back to that because there's emotional elements within me that I don't understand, that I can unpack by sitting down at a computer and just here's emotion. Let's see what happens with it. That's my writing style, and I love it. Making videos is not crafting fiction in that way, so I can't tell the same types of stories, but I can just express who I am in just a more regular ass way. I love it. And this is serving the like how to expand as a communicator, and the stories is how to expand and deal with challenges of the heart and ways to, if not satisfy my, no, yeah, satisfy myself, to give myself an outlet for energies that I don't have an outlet for. And that's what I'm ready for in this life, and I was not ready for it 2 days ago. Maybe I would have been, I just hadn't sat long enough to ask myself those questions. Gosh, the timer has gone off. All right, I still got I can squish another 8 to 18 minutes out of it. We'll see. All of this is to say, programming is out at the moment. I'll take those skills with me everywhere I go, and I'll still be tinkering. I have lots of tinkering and lots of ideas. Um, and then YouTube, it's in again in a big way, because now that I've isolated it as growing my skills as a communicator, and that's my ultimate life quest. Oh, 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 watch out, everyone. Hold on to your butts. It's going to be good. Oh, it's going to be good. I'm excited. We're all excited. And then we're getting back to stories. Are you kidding me right now? I love writing and having that emotional expression, which I didn't need, I couldn't have used a while ago. You're going in circles again, Phineas. Streaming. We're going to touch on that for 2 seconds here. Because throughout either of these endeavors, YouTube or writing, I'm not pushing myself. Not really. I was pushing myself with YouTube, and turns out I just love it. Only had to do 15, 16 videos to start getting the hang of it. Probably more like 20 by the time I add both channels, and then now it's just like, hey, we're gonna pop in, baby. We're gonna film. We're gonna snap at the camera. We are moving. We are grooving. All of the cute furry boys want to be me, and who can blame them? I love making videos. It's so much fun. It's so much fun, and it's laughably easy to do. You just get in front of the camera and you press the button, and then you put your words together, and then at the end of it you unpress the button, and then you go to YouTube and be like, hey, there's a video. It feels like it's too easy. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or not, but this is what you're looking at, and I love it, right? That's not pushing myself. That's not expanding my comfort zone. That's just playing with my new toy. I love it. Writing? That is so well established. It's laughable. That's not pushing myself even a little bit. That's just telling stories, man, and processing out what's going on inside of me. And when there's nothing else going on inside of me, just Phineas, just brush on past it. Come on, buddy. Streaming is still an unknown to me, but I feel like that's the territory that's going to be pushing me through my comfort zone, like out of my comfort zone to the edges of it, expanding me. And there's, and I need and desire practice being myself with people. So YouTube is very safe, super safe, not even a big deal. Doing this in front of people, different. That's something I think I'll be learning in the same way that I needed to learn it through YouTube, got better at it. So I had to, expand myself enough to get used to this. And then I will be expanding myself enough to get used to streaming in the same way that I even expanded myself with programming many different times. There was programming, and then there was, so Python, and then that was fine. And then I wanted to build a reader for my story, so then I had to learn a graphical library, and that was a second expansion of comfort zone. And then I moved that into databases which was another expansion of my programming. So that's like 3 times I went out of my comfort zone only with programming. Writing a book was going out of my comfort zone. Those are all of the big ones over the past 3 years or so. Lots of different ways of going out of my comfort zone, not to mention VR chat and VR in general, out of the comfort zone. And then there's buying into the equipment and trusting my intuitions and instincts, which was so foreign to me because most of the people I had surrounded myself with did not trust me, and those were the voices I listened to. So learning that I have a voice of my own and it's okay to listen to it, maybe, and then taking that leap was ultimately terrifying. I'm better at taking those leaps now and trusting myself than I ever used to be. That was a way of expanding my comfort zone. I love growing and becoming a bigger and more full person. I would not trade away that quest for anything. YouTube was that. Writing on and off was that long ago. That's not even a thing though right now. Programming was, and now programming no longer serves. I need a way to stretch myself in all sorts of ways. Phineas, fuck off. And streaming, I think, is that, which means I can take the engines off of streaming, kind of. Not really. We're going to talk about that later. I kind of think we're also just going to kind of bull rush into it, and there's other things that I want to do, and my things like just what I'm interested in is YouTube is back, writing stories is back. Oh my god, programming is out. This marks the second time in about 4 months that I immediately dropped, like it was hot, a key element of self which was causing me pain. That's a paradigm shift I just described. 2 paradigms within 1 year, half of a year. For a while, that kind of shift frightened me, and I would have to think really hard about it. And I've done so much programming, and am I really going to put on hold 3 years of dogged work on this when I'm so close to being done with the thing? And it just keep on pushing through. And do I really want to say goodbye prematurely to such a part of myself? And I would have been conflicted during other parts of life. When I the first time I dropped my when I dropped my name, became Phineas Former instead, um, extremely propelled my growth, and it's the first time ish that I made just such a this is no longer serving, this is causing me pain, I'm out immediately, dunzo. It was hard and it hurt, but it was fantastic. Even shortly after, became so free because this thing that was causing me pain, out. I don't think programming has been causing me pain, but it has stopped serving. And you would think it would be challenging to say goodbye to this part of you that you were relying on, that you needed at the time. There was so much going on, and I just couldn't hack it. I couldn't figure things out. Programming was helping me during that time. And it's tempting to suppose that by dropping programming, just it's out, dunzo, immediately. We're out. Don't need this. It's not serving, causing pain. Drop it like it's hot. We're done. It's tempting to suppose that that's invalidating the 2.5 years you spent cultivating that skill. I was a programmer for 2.5 to 3 years, doggedly. And now, drop it like it's hot. I've never enacted a death of self like that so swiftly, save for 4 months ago. And that one was way harder. Granted, the name thing was 10 years in the coming, and the programming is just 2.5 to 3 years, but the principle is absolutely the same. Key element of self, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm working towards. It was so much of my identity and what I did on the daily and what I was thinking about, and so much of who I was. drop it like it's hot. It's no longer serving. It's causing pain, even if only comparatively, because writing stories to express my emotionality and figure out more about who I am and what's working on the inside, and to serve as outlet for the frustrations and feelings of mine that don't currently have outlet, I have so much more to gain from that than I do from still programming to try and develop an engine, which I don't need because YouTube has taken the engine's place. Yesterday was kind of a big day for me. I don't have a better way, I don't have a way to like end this video because it's got to be done. The experience, my deepest apologies, because I have work soon. I have 8 minutes to put on clothes and do the thing, and I really want to upload the video first. So I have less than 8 minutes to get ready for work and go because video. So I mean, shoot, guys, wish me luck, and I'm back. The other channel, I'm still figuring out how I want to come back because I have to say everything I just barely said, but way shorter and faster. And then there's way more because I have ideas about where streaming is going to go, but I don't want to talk about that right now. Stories are going to look like, and I still have to think that through. Am I resuming an old account, or probably I'm just like building out the Phineas Former web a little bit more and going to be making a new account for those stories? And God forbid if I wrote more novels. Oops. Because I just love writing. And we're back. So, yeah. Hope you guys are doing well. If you have any paradigm shifts, let me know. Love to hear about them. Talk to you later.